How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Stand Focused for Jesus. Hope each and every one of you are having a blessed day in the Lord Jesus Christ as always. Today is Tuesday, March 29th, something like that, 2022. I think today is March 29th. We're going to talk about this Will Smith situation. Where is it coming from? When a problem occurs, when something happens, we are quick to look at the fruit without looking at the tree. Y'all give me a second for this truck goes by. Is he gonna go? No, it's loud. I just heard it when it, if it's loud when I heard it crank up, I know it's loud in the video. We are quick to look at the fruit without looking at the tree. We are quick to look at the tree without looking at the seed. We have to look at the whole picture. We got to look at the whole picture. Watch when I start getting to the sermon, then they're going to pull off. I'm trying to wait till they pull off. But we're going to roll with it. If they pull off while we're into it, then I'll just stop for a second. So y'all bear with me for a second. I don't want to stop this video. Because if I do, come on, dude. Hey. You may say, why'd you come to the gas station? Why are you over here right here? So I can get into some shade. You know, ain't no shade over there where we live at. It's a tree right there, but I gotta be careful how I word this. I gotta be real careful how I word this and I say this. Like I said, y'all bear with me. Y'all hear it. Just give me a few seconds. He about to pull off. Okay. I gotta be careful how I word this. And the reason is some of this stuff has been told, and I'm not really in a position to mention their names right now. I can, but they don't want their names mentioned right now. So we're gonna say allegedly. If you can't see what I'm doing, quote unquote, allegedly. We're gonna say these stories are alleged, but y'all know how I deal. I deal in facts, I deal in truth, I deal in actual evidence. I will deal in stuff that's alleged, but if I'm dealing in something that's alleged, can we support what's allegedly being said? But for argument's sake, we're gonna say these stories are alleged. According to, hey, they're being told. But as far as me, the stories are real. There was and is a backup singer to Prince. Prince had several backup singers, but there was one specific backup singer. He had an encounter with Magic Irvin Johnson, allegedly. Remember, this story is alleged. I'm talking about the Magic Johnson, yes. They was at a Prince concert. It was a big concert, big event. And they were changing performances. Meaning, you got one person that goes on stage and perform, then somebody else is coming until you get to the big act. It was one of those intermissions. Magic Johnson was allegedly backstage, and he was back there with Prince. Prince's backup singers, and all these different people. The lights went out. Magic Johnson allegedly groped Prince's backup singer. And he was ready to swing on him, you know what I'm saying? He was ready to swing on him. But somebody allegedly, they grabbed him. They didn't grab Magic Johnson, they grabbed Prince's backup singer. Yes, I'm talking about that Prince. That Prince. Then there was a little, you could say, altercation and, argument, and Prince and everybody else was like, hey, let it go. let it go. Don't go there. Don't go there, because, he like, hey, I don't get down like that. I don't get down like that. This man ain't finna be grab me like this. Something gonna be done about this. They like, look, this Magic Johnson, just let it go, because it was known how Magic Johnson gets down. Now the story goes that Magic Johnson got HIV/AIDS through sleeping with all of these women, but allegedly, that's not how he got it. He contracted it allegedly through sleeping with other men, sodomy. The people that are in the circles and everything, they know this stuff, or they allegedly know it. Now, this same backup singer, the Prince, he's known. He also had a encounter with Clive Davis. Now, if you don't know who Clive Davis is in the music industry, then let me just make a connection for you. If you think about Clive Davis, think about Whitney Houston and how big Whitney Houston was, and think about still is. Clive Davis, Whitney Houston. That gives you a general idea. But Clive Davis, we talk about a man with power in the music industry. Yes, some of you know the people that Clive Davis was involved with, and still is. In regards to that musical legacy and stuff like that. I just want to show you what type of level that these people are on. Clive Davis, Whitney Houston. Boom, there you have it. Prince's backup singer, he had a album that was in the works that was supposed to come out. He had to go into this meeting, allegedly, with Clive Davis. It was a private meeting. Now, this was private. He walks into the private office, and Clive Davis has his pants down with his meat out. And he wants this backup singer to Prince to service him in exchange for, hey, we're going to blow you up. You blow me up, I'm going to blow you up, pretty much. No pun intended. But it's the truth. He said no, not doing it. He didn't do it. Or he, as far as what I was told, he didn't do it. I don't think he did it because his musical career under these people didn't go anywhere. Now, we've heard alleged stories about all this stuff going on. But I'm telling you, witness accounts of people that were close to these big stars. That's why I tell you, you see me as little old me, but you don't know who I know. You don't know who I know. You don't know who I'm on the phone with. I ain't got to tell all my business. I could pick up the phone right now, and both my wife and myself, we can make some calls to some people that you wouldn't even, you'd be like, how can you call them? How can you get in contact with them? I like it like that, though. I like it like that. Are we seeing a pattern? Enters Quincy Jones. Now, the backup singer that we're speaking about, he didn't have a personal encounter with Quincy Jones like he did with Clive Davis, allegedly, and Irvin Magic Johnson, allegedly. But he was in the same circles. He was in the same circles running with the same people, right? Being a backup singer to Prince, and a very popular backup singer to Prince. We ain't talking about he was just there. But yes, Prince respected him, respected his work. He was there with Prince. Everywhere Prince went doing shows, this backup singer was there. And this is coming from his own mouth. Allegedly. Allegedly, right? So he tells a story about Quincy Jones. And he pretty much saying how Quincy Jones allegedly got down. Everybody knows how Quincy Jones got down. What's the point of that? What is the connection with him and Will Smith? Well, what do you think what do you think Will Smith got his start from for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Quincy Jones. In fact, Will Smith didn't even really audition for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He did, but he really didn't. He wasn't looking into getting into acting. He was looking in, well, he wasn't looking, but he was into rapping. He was into rapping. These are how these people get down. Allegedly. Quincy Jones, this is how he gets down. Allegedly. It is alleged that Will Smith had to do some things on what we know as the casting couch. Now, I know the casting couch is real, not only from stories I've heard, but people that, have come out the music industry. I used to talk to a female and sleep with her, just being honest, with the female who is what we would call today a video vixen. She's been in music videos with Jay-Z, got interviews with Kanye West, Trey Songz, and I can go down the list. Been in magazines and everything. Like I say, you don't know, who I used to talk to, all these different things. As God's my witness. She was not only in the music videos, but her cousin is well known in the what we call the hip hop rap world. He's up there in the levels of what we would call like the Tribe Called Quest, Wu-Tang. He was in that era of music. And, I met him. I ain't gonna say the dude's name, but I met him and everything back in the day. I think it was at a Thanksgiving gathering. I went with her to his Thanksgiving gathering, and he was there because she had been telling me, and I looked it up. I'm like, dang, like okay, cool. And I looked her up and stuff like that, and I'm like, dang, like, okay, cool. So she also confirmed to me the things that went on. Some other people confirmed to me some things that went on. Allegedly, we're gonna say allegedly. What's his name? Shamar Moore. Some of you know about him. He had a party, a mansion party, and there was some things confirmed about how they got down and they get down. Not him specifically. I don't know if he got down that way, but some things were said and known at these parties. We're gonna put it like that. So these things are known. These things are known. Quincy Jones allegedly got Will Smith to do some things. I want to lay that foundation so you understand what Will Smith is struggling with. Will Smith is struggling with his manhood. Not only because of that situation, but also with who he's married to. He's married to a Jezebel. He's married to a Jezebel. And what you have to understand about a Jezebel is they like to be in control. They want that power. And the greatest get off for Jezebel is breaking a man. Now, naturally, Will Smith, he's what we consider call a man's man. But we know back in the ancient slave days, we're gonna say, we know slavery still goes on, but we're gonna say the ancient slave days, they had something called buck breaking. They would take the biggest male there was on the plantation, on the farm, and they would break him. Because if they could break him, then the rest of them, they would fall in line, they would fear. They would break him in multiple ways. And one of the ways that they would break the biggest male on the plantation was through sodomy. We know this. They would break him through sodomy. Having another man, go into him and stuff like that, and some other stuff. We ain't gotta get into details on that, but I just want you to understand things so you can make these connections and see these connections. The same thing goes on in the music industry. The same thing goes on in the movie industry. They want to break the black man in any way that they can. Remember, this is the same Will Smith that did a movie called 6 Degrees of Separation. I don't remember watching it. I'm glad I don't, because I went back and looked the movie up later, and it's a movie that can make you very uncomfortable. Some of you remember that movie. If not, you can go look it up real fast, and you can see how it would make you uncomfortable. Now, this is before all this sodomy and everything was mainstream. But we know how they do. They condition the people. You see what's going on? You got the Quincy Jones situation, allegedly. You have these different movies he's playing in. You have things that he probably has done that he's not proud of. And he's struggling with his manhood. He's struggling with being a man because he wants to get back to that. This is a man that's been in power and been in control, has, for the most part, been able to make his own decisions throughout his career. And now he's losing that power, has lost that power, and trying to get it back, trying to get back to the core, trying to get back to the foundation of who he is as a man. And what you're seeing is him lash out. He slapped Chris Rock, not simply because what Chris Rock said, and we're going to address that. He slapped Chris Rock because it was the easiest outlet to do. He can't slap Jada, so he slapped Chris Rock. Now, was it staged, or was it something that just came organically from a build-up? I mean, you can make the argument all day. To me, it really doesn't matter if it was staged or not. It was still a form of him manifesting his anger, his frustrations, and everything that he is going through and has been going through, rather from his own decisions or other people's decisions, by doing what he did. Jada is a Jezebel, but that's still his wife. When you're dealing with a Jezebel wants to break a man. All the men that are listening to this right now, think about the different women that you talked to throughout your lifetime. And you always came across that one woman that wanted to break you as a man. She didn't want you to be a man. She wanted you to be the man that she wanted you to be. But she didn't want you to be a man's man. This is what you're dealing with when you're dealing with Jada. Jada doesn't want Will Smith to be a man's man. She wants him to be the man that she wants him to be, which isn't a real man. And so he's conflicted with what he's dealing with, because he wants to be a man's man, express himself as a man, but with the decisions that he's made in the past and him being married to who he's married to, now there's that struggle that's really going on with it within himself. all of us as men, we've all been there. Maybe not made some decision that he's made. Will Smith specifically, but just struggling to be the man that we know that we are. It's like if you're a man's man, Iron Man hear me roar. Then people demonize. Like it's a bad thing to be a man's man. People demonize being a real man. If you stand up for what's right, if you say, hey, we as men don't get down like this, then people will demonize it. But then they exalt these feminine men. And yet people want masculine men when they want masculine men. So at the core, this is what Will Smith is struggling with. Now, I don't know if he realizes if Jada is a Jezebel or not, but I'm telling you, she is. Hopefully he does realize and has realized it. He's obviously siding with Jezebel to get on stage and slap this man. He slapped this man because he can't slap his wife. If you're going to be upset at anybody, he should be upset at himself. He was laughing. He had no problem with it. Until what? Until he saw that it was making Jada allegedly uncomfortable. I didn't necessarily see that. I saw her roll her eyes like, whatever, blase, blase. Like I said, you can make the argument of it being staged or not. But again, at the core, you're seeing a man that's struggling with his manhood, of what it means to be a man, and trying to balance that in his marriage also, dealing with the woman that he's married to. I can understand that. I've been there before. With some of the women I've dealt with in my lifetime. I've been there before. Like, I love this woman, but I know that she ain't the best for me, and the decisions I made, they probably weren't the best decisions, but look at the stuff that she's done, but it's my woman, So I understand all of that. Now, you got people that are saying that, oh, that's how you supposed to defend your woman when somebody get out of pocket. That's how we conduct ourselves now. That's how we're supposed to conduct ourselves, just going around slapping people when they say something about ourselves or say something about our woman. The issue with that is this. Majority of it is rooted in worship of the feminine spirit, worship of the female. That's where a majority of it is rooted in. Not, okay, let me defend my woman because my woman needs to be defended because I'm her husband. No, it's rooted not in that, but rooted in a woman. I'm going to say a lot of women, I'm sure I word it right because a woman, she's saying it about all women. I ain't saying it about my wife, so what are you talking about? A lot of women, they want a man to lay down and let them walk all over them, all these different things. Sacrifice yourself. But she wouldn't do the same. Because they want to be worshiped. And so when a lot of these women, again, are talking about, oh, this is what a husband is supposed to do, most of them ain't even married. Most of them don't even understand marriage. Most of them don't even support that type of marriage where we're talking about a man stands up and defends his wife. So they're contradicting themselves. How you going to sit here and say that this is what a man's supposed to do, but you don't even want that type of man? The hypocrisy. They don't want a man's man because if a man's man, then a man's man is going to check his wife first. Before doing what Will Smith did to Chris Rock, he should have been checking Jada first and foremost. But he has not checked Jada on any of the stuff that she's been doing the way he should have. I ain't gonna say he hasn't done it at all, but the way he should have been checking it, he has not been checking it. Because if he did, then they probably wouldn't be married anymore, or the situation probably got crazier. He's allowed this behavior to continue, and now he's reaping what he has sown. Those are basic principles that not only biblical, but they are basic universal principles. The law of reap what you sow are universal principles. Whether a person is a believer or not, it still applies. It still applies. Now, when you're dealing with a Jezebel spirit, it's a very strong spirit. And that Jezebel spirit wants to break men. That's what she gets the most excitement off of. That's what they get the most excitement from, is breaking men from being men, especially the black man. Especially the black man. But they get off on breaking men in general. Think about Jezebel was married to Ahab. Ahab wasn't a man's man, but the prophets of God were. Ahab came and cried, crying and stuff, and then Jezebel stepped up and said, I got this. And the prophets were even scared until they got strengthened by the strength of God. They were running and hiding from Jezebel. Jezebel was getting power off of that. She wanted to rule over the men's men, the men of God, the men that are naturally men's men, as we say. And this is what Jada Pinkett Smith has done. She don't really want a man's man. She want a Tupac man. You may say, well, Tupac was a real man. You better go study Tupac. Tupac was a character. Tupac was a character that, I forgot his real name, he played. The real person, the person that played Tupac, he was a sodomite, we call a fruit cup. Y'all better go study this stuff. You've been deceived. You've been deceived. You don't even see it. Now, people are making an argument that, he should have did what he did because she has this condition, alopecia. A lot of people got conditions. A lot of people have conditions. Does that mean that we're going around, we slapping everybody that got conditions when somebody says something that we don't like? Because that's the case, I got a lot of people I need to slap. I got a whole list of people I need to slap. I'm talking about slap the skin off their face for saying stuff that, ain't true about me, or just, hey, because I don't like what you say, I need to slap them, right? I think that we will all have a list of people that we need to slap or will want to slap. But does that give us the right to go around and, and slap people? Of course not. So to justify that in our minds that it's okay to go around doing that, then that's a bigger issue with people in general. Because we all have a list of people that we want to slap. But that don't mean that we go around doing it. We all have a list of people that we want to say things to, or we want to say something to that isn't going to be what we call polite or nice. But does that mean that we go around saying it to everybody? Of course not. So to sit there and justify his actions as him defending his wife, that's foolish. That's pure and utter foolishness. Because he said something about his wife. If people said stuff about my wife, that mean I need to slap everybody that said something about my wife? No. He did because it was the only way that he could lash out right then. And it made a spectacle of our people even more, because one of the highlights of the year is going to be Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Interesting, you got Will Smith and Chris Rock. I'm just saying. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. Jada Pinkett is riding this wave of alopecia for vanity reasons. She's not riding this wave because I'm struggling and suffering with alopecia, but she's riding it for vanity reasons. Yeah, I want to see how far you go. Would you slap somebody for me? Would you slap somebody for me? Will you commit suicide for me? Will you have an open marriage for me? Will you allow another man to penetrate you for me? Will you do sexual stuff that you're not comfortable with for me? People talk about respect. Where's the respect from her? When she was talking about their sex life and she wasn't talking about it in a good way. If me and my wife are struggling sexually, I'm not finna put it out there. Let's say my wife ain't pleasing me. You would never know. Because it ain't none of your business. That between me and her. I'm not going to put my wife on blast and say, yeah, my wife, she ain't pleasing me. You know, you would think after all these years, she should know me. Why would I want to open that window of opportunity? Now other females, oh yeah, I can please you. I can please you. Well, I know there are females watching right now who wish they was in my wife's position. For the wrong reasons. Now, if you desire to be in my wife's position, then you should desire so you can have your own husband. Because you see me as a true man of God and you're like, okay, Brother King is leading as an example. I don't necessarily want a man exactly like him, but hey, I want a man of God that's going to be and have that same spirit like Brother King. Nothing wrong with that. That's like if I got a brother in Christ and then me not wanting that brother in Christ to have a woman that's full of the Spirit. I want him to have a woman that's full of the Spirit. Why would I want him to have a woman that's lost? That doesn't make any sense. Do I want him to have my wife accordingly? Hey, that's mine, bro. But I want him to have a wife that has similar characteristics to my wife in regards to the Spirit. You see what I'm saying? She's rode this wave for vanity's sake. She's rode this wave for vanity's sake. And she used it for her gain. Now I want to go to the word and see what the word says. Because the Bible speaks about alopecia. And in fact, the Bible speaks specifically about alopecia, what we call alopecia, in regards to the women. Why is Jada Pinkett a very beautiful woman? She looked better back in the day than she do now. That plastic surgery, that's not what's up. That's not what's up. But why is she struggling with alopecia the way she is today? Because she's a vain woman. She's a Jezebel. A lot of your alopecia, majority of alopecia is hereditary. And it's interesting that when it comes to alopecia with women, oh, you know, they're so strong, this and that. But men can struggle with alopecia also. Men go bald. I rock a bald head. Should I be glorified because I struggle with alopecia? Where did I get alopecia from? I mostly got alopecia from my mama. My mama, she had hair long. Now my mama, you might say she might well go bald. How thin her hair is, how weak her hair is. And that's a result of Isaiah chapter 3. Brother King, you struggle with alopecia? Alopecia means at its core, we can get deep into it, but hair loss, and there's different forms of it. There's different forms of hair loss. Mine is more so in the crown. I ain't gonna take my hat off 'cause I need to shave my head. But in the crown, my hair still grows. And part of the reason I do cut my hair is because it doesn't grow the same way it used to. Now I can brush it and comb it or whatnot, but it's still gonna be thin right there at the top. I can still grow my hair. It's not like, man, you might well go ahead and just chop the top off. Like I told you before, I have different reasons why I shave my head and I rock a bald head. One of the reasons is to humble myself because I know how my hair used to be. You talk about GQ haircut. I was on that GQ stuff before people even knew what GQ was. Haircut. I used to I had the best of the best barbers. I would travel to go get the best of the best barbers and people, both male and female, man, who cut your hair? Who cut your hair? I would strive and I would go find the best of the best barbers to separate myself from everybody else. And me shaving my head is a sign for me of mourning and repentance. Because I do wish my hair was like it was back in the day. I mean, just being real. Do you not wish that you had the shape of your body you had when you was like, in whatever age, when you was at the peak? Or you still wish that you were fat like you is probably now? I mean, shoot, I picked up some pounds. I'm not like I used to be. Most of mine is because I had muscle. You know what happens when you don't work out? It turns the way it turns. I look at myself and I'm like, dang, boy. Dang, what happened to you? 50 Cent. What happened to you? And you sit back, you like, I know how I used to look. I desire to go back and look like that. Could I? Yeah. But I'm not willing to put the work in that it requires, just being real. I'm more so, I just want to be in better shape. And I'm doing that. And I know one day we're going to receive our new glorified bodies. So I don't focus on it like that, but I don't look in the mirror and be like, yeah, man. I look in the mirror and be like, yep, stomach right there hanging over and everything. Like, yep. Chest ain't as firm as it used to be, you know what I'm saying? I'm just being real. And anybody is saying otherwise, I don't necessarily believe them. Because we all deal with what we call self-esteem issues. Everybody deals with self-esteem issues. If you look in the mirror and you don't deal with self-esteem issues, then I wonder about you. Everybody has something they deal with personally in regards to what we call self-esteem looks and stuff like that. Even as believers. So when we read it, says, "For behold, the Lord of hosts." Let me jump down. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given him. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Jada Pinkett Smith is ruling over Will Smith. Remember, Jada Pinkett didn't go to that level. Now, she was acting, but she wasn't at Will Smith level. She wasn't at Will Smith level. Come on now. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err. So who's the people he talking about that are leading, that are causing them to err? The children that are oppressing us. A person has a mindset of a child, you're like really? I mean, you think about the situation that we are in right now with America and the co-president. It's like a child. You're like, this is who we got in power? This is coming from both black people and white people. Now, this is the people that's ruling the nation? They're like children out there. And then the women, because the woman is not supposed to rule over the man. That's just the order of things. You don't like it, then deal with it. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. You also have men leading other men astray from the ways of the path, which is the ways of the Lord. Just because I'm over my wife don't mean I treat my wife like garbage. If women could really see how my wife is treated, they would get jealous. They would really get jealous and say, oh my God, like, he empowers his wife, even though he's over his wife. He empowers his wife to have her own business, to be an entrepreneur. My wife wasn't doing that before that. My wife didn't even drop a song like that, talking about a Christian song, until when I came into her life. She was procrastinating. I paid the money for her to get the song out. This is before we was even married. I've empowered my wife every step of the way, when we were just, as we say, brothers and sisters in Christ. Hopefully, all the women that have been listening to this video, or any video I've done before, you can see the same thing, that I've helped to empower you in the spirit of the Most High God. Not to empower you to say, hey, you're going to rule over men. No. But to empower you in righteousness. And there's still that respect factor there. I respect the power that you have as a woman. I respect the power that you have as a sister in Christ. The Lord standeth up to plead and standeth to judge the people. Right? Then he goes down, he says, moreover the Lord said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. Smite the crown of the head of the daughters. It's talking about the physical appearance of the daughters of Israel. I got that from my mama, because my biological dad, when I seen him, he had a head full of hair. All the pictures I seen. I ain't saying, he wasn't thin, but he wasn't thin like my mama. He wasn't thin like my mama. In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and the cauls, and their round tires like the moon. The chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets, nothing new under the sun, right? And the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands, and the tablets, and the earrings, the rings, and nose jewels. The changeable suits of apparel. Y'all know how black women are with their clothing and their appearance, right? It's all talking about appearance stuff. And the mantles, and the wimples, and the crisping pins, talking about the wigs and everything. The glasses, and the fine linen, and the hoods, and the veils. Now, you may say, oh, women aren't supposed to be doing these things. God never said that they were wrong for doing these things. He said they were wrong because they were being haughty in these things. They were more focused on the vain things, on the appearance. The rings and the jewels and the apparel and the clothing and stuff like that. And the wigs and all these different things. They were more focused on that than they were on what mattered, which is the spiritual covering, the spiritual things, the spiritual rings, the spiritual jewels, the spiritual earrings. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink. And instead of a girdle, a rent. And instead of well-set hair, baldness. He's speaking to the daughters of Zion. And most of your alopecia comes from what? Hereditary, meaning it's inherited. We inherited half the genes from our mother. Now, depending on how God wants to do it, these certain genes are activated. This is why certain males, they have more of a tendency to be effeminate or feminine than other men, because whatever genes God decides to activate within that person. Because they end up taking on more of those feminine characteristics from their mother than they should. Now, we all should have those type of characteristics from a mother, that love and everything, right? That's that balance. Just like a woman should have, and she does have different characteristics of a male. but she's not walking in that male bravado, that male masculinity. It's still in her, because estrogen comes from testosterone. So you would expect a woman to do what? To protect her children. If she needs to put some hands on somebody to protect her children, then hey, do that, right? So that would be, in a way, that testosterone rising up. But when it goes above and beyond what's supposed to, that's the issue. Again, and instead of well set hair, baldness. In me, my mama got it. She got it from her mama and everything. And my grandma, I think, my grandma has more hair than my mama. It's still thin, but I'm not saying that I didn't inherit it from my dad. But I know for a fact that it's more predominant in my mother, because I know my mother. I didn't know my biological dad like that. And I see my mother. I saw my mother. I see her on Facebook. I know what her hair looks like. I've said something to her about it. That portion of this baldness, what we call alopecia, was passed down to who? To me. And also her other son, Dominique Rashad King. Why? Because of the curse, which is passed down through heredity. And instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. Jada Pinkett Smith is dealing with alopecia because she's under the curse. And she's trying to use the curse as something to glory in. Us being in the position that we are in as Hebrews, as Hebrew Israelites, I'm talking about physically in this world, is nothing to glory about. In comparison to where we once were, what is it to glory in? That we are the tail and not the head. That we not making no decisions. We can't hardly make decisions for ourselves. Even if we're not ruling over the world, we still hardly have the power to make decisions for ourselves in our own lives. We don't have the financial power. We don't have the physical power. We definitely don't have the most of us don't have the spiritual power. So what is it to glory in? You see what I'm saying? We glory in being brought out of those situations. Jada Pinkett Smith shouldn't be using that situation to glory and say, yeah, I got alopecia and everything, blah, blah, blah. She should be glorying in the grace of God, that God showed her what she's going through and delivered her from that, even though she still had to deal with the consequence of it. It is what it is. But glorying in being delivered from that ultimately, where she's not trapped by her vanity. She's not trapped as a Jezebel, but freed from that. And then her marriage would thrive and not just survive the way it has been. This is why I have an issue with all of this. An issue with her, issue with Will Smith, an issue with everybody that got opinions, because an opinion is a judgment, if you didn't know. People, don't judge, but then you give your opinion. Go look at what opinion means. It means to form a judgment based on what you know. But the people that are giving their opinions, giving their judgments, it's like, what are you talking about? It's lacking wisdom. It's lacking any type of similitude that makes sense. But it makes sense to them because they want to be worshipped. They want to be idolized. Not all women, but majority of women, they want to, because they feel like, oh, the men ain't stepping up, so hey, we're going to step up and be in the man's position. Not looking at the whole picture about what's going on and how to I'm gonna say this in this way: correctify it. Yeah, probably ain't a word, but it's a word now. Correctify. How do we correctify the situation? Well, the way to correctify the situation isn't the way that most people want it to be correctified. Look at my marriage. I love my marriage. I love being married to my wife. But we know our roles. If I need to check my wife, then guess what? I'm going to check her. I check her privately, but there are times where I've checked my wife publicly. I've checked my wife in front of her mama. I've checked my wife in front of her brother because she was wrong. Well, she was ready to put hands on her brother. Like, boom. I'm talking about, if you don't get your ass back and sit down, this is not the way we conduct ourselves as believers. You fell right into a trap. I told her that. Because she got in the flesh. I had to do it right then. Now, is this something I do on a regular basis? Correcting my wife in front of everybody? No, I do it in private. I do it because I love her. Because I love her. So she can do better, right? But people don't want that. My marriage is correctified through the grace of God. I push my wife farther than she even probably imagined she can be pushed. We were just talking about this today. She got what she wanted, but she got more than what she wanted because she got what she needed. Somebody to stay on her. I stay on my wife, just like I stay on myself. But it's crazy, the world that we live in. And people are not understanding what's going on. Will Smith is struggling with manhood. And a lot of that comes from his own decisions. And stuff out of his control. What he does with it is what he's going to do with it now. I pray and hope this video gets to Will Smith. Will Smith, if you're watching this video, Jada Pinkett, y'all watching this video, you know what the answer is. But you don't want that. Maybe because you heard it from the wrong people. But I'm telling you, you need to come to true repentance and believe in the gospel, and then everything else will be restored. But I doubt y'all want to make that sacrifice. I pray and I hope that y'all do make that sacrifice. But I know what type of spirit we're dealing with, especially with Jada Pinkett Smith. At this point, from what I'm seeing, there's more hope for Will Smith than it is for Jada Pinkett Smith. Because she deep in that Jezebel spirit. But if Will Smith, he keeps on, he don't have too much time left where he's going to be completely given over to a reprobate mind and handed over to Satan, and his fate is sealed. Now, you can make an argument and say, okay, Jada Pinkett, she still got it. Okay, you want to give her still, she got a chance, then you can say that. But I know what type of spirit she is. I'm not saying that Will Smith don't have that spirit, but I'm just telling you what I see right now, what's going on right now. She's not struggling. She's operating in that spirit. He's still operating that spirit, but he's struggling trying to figure out which way he's going to go. And God is giving him this last chance, this last opportunity. That's what I've been shown. Now, you may have been shown something different. But, yeah. It's a crazy situation. Crazy situation. I mean, I can say more about it, but, I have to think about it. I don't want to be sitting here rambling and everything. So I'm going to close it out. With that being said, God bless each and every one of you. In Jesus Christ's name, as always, stay focused with Jesus. And as you know, the truth is not debated, it is declared. Any of you that are struggling with manhood, now's the time to get it right. Now's the time to get it right before it's too late.